So what's involved in choosing the correct sliding gate motor for my gate? Not a lot, relatively easy to do, okay? But let's lay a few ground rules to start with. In the beginning at least, we're going to talk about gates that are on level ground, a level surface, okay? And that is because that is the correct way to design and build a sliding gate on level ground. Apart from anything else, it's safer, it's more natural, and it's the way that things should be. The Italians are masters at gate automation. They've been building it for about 50 years, and they still scratch their head when we tell them that in Australia we do have gates on slopes. You see, the Italian way is to engineer a solution. Okay, so they might excavate out to give the gate level room and put up a retaining wall or something like that. So unfortunately, we don't often go to that trouble, and we do have gates on slopes, and we'll talk about them a little later. But right at this point, let's just stick with how would we choose a gate motor if I had a good quality gate, I had quality hardware, good wheels, okay, on level surface, and the gate would slide open and slide closed without any tight points. Okay, we've got ourselves a good gate, we've got a good starting point. We also have opening and closing stops, right? Vital for any automatic gate and vital for any sliding gate. Number one, because of safety. Number two, because the logic control board will often look to find that opening stop and to find that closing stop so that it knows where it is at. Alright, so when all of those things are present and we're ready to choose our motor, the first thing we start with is the weight of our gate. Okay. Now when we're choosing a sliding gate motor and we say, well look, the weight of my gate is 200 kilo, we would typically double that, say, well okay, if I've got a 200 kilo gate, I want a motor that is capable of 400. Okay. I don't, for instance, have a 400 kilo gate and choose a 400 kilo motor. We've just got no margin for error there. Okay, so double the weight of your gate, and that will give you the size of the motor that you're looking for. Okay, now you'll see down here. Sorry, we're on the residential sliding gate opener page here. There is a commercial one. There's also an industrial one, just to make life easy for you. But let's just stick here at the moment, and you'll see that we have the weight rating on all of the motors. And everywhere you go, you'll find that a motor has a weight rating when you're talking sliding gates. Okay. The next thing that you would take into account is generally, particularly with a sliding gate, you'd be looking at the duty cycle. Given that we're on the residential page, the duty cycle is probably, 5 to 10 operations a day. So it would not matter which operator you chose because they would all do that with ease. Okay. So whilst we're still talking residential, we then might start to look at whether we want a low voltage or a high voltage motor. Right. Typically nowadays, most people will go for low voltage, 12 volt, 24 volt. Okay. The reason is that they are much more reliable, much smoother. The logic control board gives you a lot more control over the run. It's just an all-over better motor. Yes, you'll pay a little bit more than a 240 volt motor, but you will get a much better result. And battery backup tends to be a lot easier. And certainly if you're doing solar power, there is no option. You are going low voltage. So low voltage tends to be the way to go. A little bit later, we'll talk about those gates on hills. Now, that's where we want torque, okay? So that's where we might go to a 240 volt motor where we want a high torque. But we'll cover that a bit later. Finally, you've got price. Now, nobody, you're not the Lone Ranger. Everybody has price consideration, and, that's just obvious. Can you get good quality sliding gate motors at a low price? Generally speaking, you will find that most of the good operators, number one, are made in Italy. Okay, Anything other than Italian, I really think you're starting to, sort of risk your investment, so to speak. Certainly anything made in Asia, you won't find a professional installer installing them, so if that gives you any clue. There's a little bit of stuff from South Africa. Personally not keen on it, but, so you'll find that most professional installers are working with Italian motors. So if you stick to Italian made, right, you're going to be in safe territory. You're going to find some reasonable prices, but you're not going to find prices that compare with your auction sites and your Chinese motors and things like that. It's just, we're talking totally different sort of operators there. So stick with Italian and you're going to do okay. So now we've decided our weight, right? We may have decided low voltage or high voltage. If you're going solar, you might be looking at the 12 volt operators, okay? Otherwise, you could look at the 24 volt operators. They've all also got listed their speed. Now, a few years back, speed seemed to be an important consideration in the minds of most buyers. Today, nobody seems too concerned about it. I think that as we've grown a little more mature and we understand that speed or increase in speed, right, it also means an increase in lack of reliability. Okay, so look, there are still plenty of higher speed operators. You can see one there at 19 meters a minute. You come down here in the commercial ones, you can find 14, 24 meters a minute. Okay, so they are available. Okay, and generally where we have them in this list, they are reliable. Okay, but you must have a really, really well set up gate. Okay, because that increased speed will mean that you have no margin for error. So speed, if it's a consideration for you, you can choose there some of the higher speed motors if you wish. But it's just a matter of doing that. Take the weight of your gate. Let's call it 250 kilo, and I've doubled it, so I've chosen a 500 kilo motor. I apologise. And I've got a choice here, 240 or 12 volt. Well, I like the idea of 12 volt. I could pick something like the Tone 5B. Yeah, you would be picking a very, very good motor, perhaps one of our best. You got battery backup there. Just simply buy a battery, pop it in. You're never without power. Solar power is also, a very easy option with this operator. You'll see on each page you've got the motor itself, and it comes in this case with 2 transmitters and a set of photocells, so all the information is there for you. You've got manuals, sometimes you got a video to watch and see how easy it is to program, things like that. But that is really the way you would go about things. And look, if you wanted a commercial one, the list just gets a bit shorter. And there's a few extra ones on the end here. You got things like the big 30 QI. You're opening some big gates when you get to 4 ton. Right? But I'm going to go back here to the residential ones, and let's just cover that area of slope sites. I said that we would double the weight of our gate on a normal level installation. Okay. On a gate on a slope or on a hill, okay, we multiply by at least 4. So if we go back to my 250 kilo or my 200 kilo gate, I might be looking at an operator 800 kilo and above. Okay. Now you'll note some of these actually have a note that they're good on hills. The Master 20, designed for 2 tons. Okay, still a nice looking operator. So it's got a smaller footprint, and it's very good on hills because it has that torque. So that's a primary choice. If you said to me, look, I was looking for something more low voltage, I wanted to run it on solar, You could look at operators like the Tone 10B, Master 18QR, okay? They're both solar ready. One's a 1 ton, one's an 1800 kilo, okay? But I would caution you that we're talking there gates on slopes, maybe say a 5 metre opening, so 10 metres overall. You might have 100 mil, 200 mil overall. Then I'd be comfortable there. But as soon as you start getting on anything more than that, I'd prefer that you consult your local branch, get hold of one of the senior people there, senior sales or senior technician, and talk about that slope, and make sure you get the correct operator, because it can turn to tears. Yes, you can manage to get it going, but sort of 12 months down the track and the gearbox is starting to fail, and things like that, it's not a good situation. So light slopes, no big deal. You can choose from this list, okay? But if they are large slopes, or you do have a heavy gate, talk to us about it. Probably the easiest way, send the details to service@automaticsolutions.com.au. Send us an email, tell us what you've got, and then we'll assist you with your choice. Thanks for watching this video, and please do use that email address if something's still not clear or you want some information, and we'll be happy to help you through your choices. Cheers. Thanks very much.